Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll look at a scenario for our alternate future history of the world series. As we know, it's about the 1950s, 70s, what is it? I would say the 80s maybe. Or the mid-70s, one or the other. And in today's video, a lot will happen. A big event will happen. With the tensions between the fascist pact and democratic pact at an all-time high. But the Eastern Democratic Pact isn't as high in tensions with them. And don't see them as much of a threat. The Democratic team wants a free Iran as one of their ideas. A free Arabia. A free Italy. And I think that's Libya. And then that must be the East African. Then Argentina and Venezuela, they want democracy. Cuba, they don't like fascists on their footstep. Yeah. And so on. Eventually, it reaches a breaking point when Belarus and Poland get into it. Which causes all the nations on both teams to get called into the war. Which is big news, but that's assuming the stronger nations can get over in time to save some of the smaller nations, which I doubt they can. When I say Europe might have fun, they're definitely able to liberate South America because Brazil is pretty strong. No, they probably won't be strong at first. And then let's look at the weak spots of the Democratic Pact. Well, we have Israel and what's that called again? Yemen, I guess. And as we can see, Ethiopia is a weak point. And at this point, America has already invaded Cuba. The Democratic Pact has already taken out Cuba and Venezuela, as neither of them were able to fight. As though they said they would. But let's see what Argentina does, as we're in the Western Hemisphere first. Well, we're in the Western theater. Keep in mind, this is all the same time that most of the attacks happen. As Paraguay has already fallen, and much of southern Brazil, Argentina has been ready for this for a while, it appears. With the invasion of Israel happening on two sides by Libya and the Ottomans, and eventually the invasion of Yemen happens and an invasion over here happens. They attack over here just to stabilize the thing in this front. Also keep in mind this is the African Middle East front. We have the European front, we have the Middle East, North Africa front, and the American front. The theaters. We got the Pacific theater, but nothing much is going on there. Ethiopia is holding this back pretty well, and eventually a stalemate's established. Partly because of the terrain. Now let's see how the European front's been going. Well, Italy has been in this war. Just in case it doesn't appear. So yeah, let's mark it. And as you can see, a lot of lines changed in Europe and got messy and such. Look at that. That's just painful. Yeah, I'll need to fix that eventually, but I haven't yet. I think we do need to fix it. With France establishing up to the Rhine, a defensive area. Now, this being how France's offensive is going. Right now, the blue team is trying to get ready for the conflict, but they're already in it. With this being the front that they've established along Rhine, and yeah, they've made an offensive here. And they make an offensive in the southern Austria. And they're starting to advance into Yugoslavia. With the Ottoman Empire advancing into Bulgaria. And Belarus advances into Poland. Oh, I think they're alright. But keep in mind, some of the counteroffensives haven't had yet. But in Poland, in Ukraine, and Lithuania, and Baltica, they make a huge counteroffensive. And by huge, I mean they basically kind of wipe the country out in a swift attack. As you can tell, doesn't look like that yet. So let's keep it going. And now what do you see? That's where the capitulation of Belarus happened. Now let's see what's happening in the Western Front. With all the American troops, basically, with the exception of ones going over to Europe, arriving at this point. Not most troops, there's not enough, but they're landing in Iberia, just hold the front there. With Brazil, with the American help, making a huge offensive, taking a third of Paraguay back. Although lots are perished because of the nature of this attack. Argentina also made an offensive during this. Right here. As you can see, this front didn't really change much in territories occupied by both sides, but it did change how the front line looks. American troops in Iberia, they realize aren't enough to hold it back, so they are just sending enough to stabilize the front, just so it tires out resources of the other team. And they can send more resources. With an offensive out of the Rhine beginning, with Britain making a landing in Denmark, this does not seem good for the red team. But the good news is, Poland, Ukraine, and Baltica have sent their troops over and allow a counter-offensive. Although Britain keeps the islands just because they end up doing. So, with the counter-offensive here, unfortunately, parts of Norway fall. Right here, specifically, moved down to the point where all of Norway fell with only parts remaining, the parts Finland is occupying. So that's not great. And then here, lands fall. As you can see, Bulgaria has lost all of its coast, meaning all of its resource abilities. With troops moving into the north of these countries. With American troops finally arriving in Morocco, but it's kind of a bit late when they do. This is how much of Morocco has fallen. As we can see, this is where both sides are pretty much stuck, unable to move. Except the first stalemate in Ethiopia has broke, which led way to the collapse of these lands, leading to a new stalemate like that. Will this be the last stalemate or not? But let's continue the North American front. With the North American theater, with American troops ready to push Argentina back here, Brazil takes the other area to attack, as these were plans made, with their advantage being bigger than Argentina's at this time. They're splitting with better weapons, you know. As you can tell, let's go around. That's weird. Like, what country? There's some country that's been telling other countries what to do. I can't figure it out. But there is one. It might be anywhere. And it's telling other countries what to do. It's a person. But they've decided to run for an election in Germany. Even though they don't know what's going on anymore in the world, but they were in the future. With Argentina, in the 2 months of this humongous offensive, being pushed back almost to its capital, with the attack of its capital beginning. And so they manage to do this, they encircle it and they take it. With Argentina falling down to here, to which they're kind of forced to give up after this 3 months of offensive, which has the rest angered out. But yeah. But problems occur as Morocco is completely kicked out of the continent. Completely kicked out, basically. Iceland has fallen, which is a big deal, and here has fallen. And Bulgaria has fallen along with southern Yugoslavia and northern. Ethiopia has its third stalemate start. Then comes its fourth stalemate, followed by it eventually having a fifth for a few months. And then this is what it looks like. And then another break of the stalemate. As we can see, they kept having stalemates and then breaks. Yeah. With the plan becoming to maybe if they take out these democracies, they need to attack all the democracies. That's their new plan, to attack all the democracies. They don't like democracy anymore, and they basically have kicked them out. But tensions have quickly rose with the Eastern Democratic Pact, the less democratic Pact. So as you guys can tell, the less democratic pact is going to be brought onto their side eventually. Which, with the tensions. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please stay tuned for the next video, as the video of this series will be a bigger evolvement of this series. And will there be a separate treaty with Argentina? Maybe. Will there be a separate treaty with Belarus? Maybe. Will there be a separate treaty with Ethiopia and Morocco and Siberia? Maybe. Can't say, can't deny. So yeah. Or will there be no separate treaties throughout the war where nations are put on the other sides, maybe with new governments? Who knows? Stay tuned for the next part of this series. And don't forget to watch the next video, as that's important. But most of all, don't forget to subscribe. You know, subscribing is great, so you should subscribe. Subscribe if you like this video. Subscribe if you don't like this video. Like it if you like it. Like it if you don't. But comment what your real opinion is in the comments. That's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out. Bye, guys.